Hello, my beautiful viewers. Before we begin this powerful panel discussion, I have a confession to make. In my excitement to start recording, I didn't pin myself. So throughout the whole discussion, you can hear me, but not see me. I don't know if that's a bad thing for some of you, but you can see and hear my guests very clearly, which is the main focus, as they are the ones sharing all the wisdom and the knowledge. So I really hope this doesn't take away from the quality of the recording, because all the sound is perfect. But like we know in life, life is not perfect. So I truly apologize, but these things happen and we just have to own them. So if you see my image and just a volume emoji playing, you know why. It's not because I don't want to be on screen. It is because, unfortunately, sometimes we have a slip of the mind, and it just shows even more that I need to be conscious, present, and prepared. And don't you worry, no other panel discussion will be like this, and you get an extra dose of us next week because we will be back. So enjoy, and please, please, please like, share, subscribe, comment, because this truly is a conversation that is going to shift your mind. Hello everyone, and welcome to Zest to Zen with me, Shel Marie, the podcast that'll take you on a journey from the hustle to the harmony, fueling your passion whilst finding your peace. Today is our third live panel discussion. Yes, third. I can't believe it. Wow. And I am beyond grateful to each of you for being here, whether you're joining us live or catching the recording later. Thank you so much for taking the time to step into this virtual, loving, conscious space to expand, learn, and connect. Your presence here is what makes this global conversation possible, and we appreciate you so much. I want to also say a heartfelt thank you to our incredible panelists. Now, I don't say this lightly. We have two incredible powerhouses on the panel discussion today, and I am really excited for what is about to unfold. First up, we have Amir, and he is a leadership and mindset coach helping new leaders build confidence and trust in their first 90 days. If you haven't seen his episode yet, it's a must watch, as he shares more information about his powerful mission, which is to develop 1 million courageous leaders by 2030. And he will, trust me when you hear him speak. He brings grounded wisdom, practical frameworks, and a fierce belief in what's possible when leadership meets courage, but with heart and consciousness. Then we have the incredible Dr. Ewa. She is a nationally recognized award-winning healthcare research executive, author of The Empowered Leadership, Breaking Barriers and Building Impact, as well as Leaving a Legacy, which I know they both are going to do. She is an editor-in-chief of the Universal Journal of the 21st Century Women's Entrepreneurship, Leadership, Technology, and Publishing. Wow, wow, wow. She brings strategic vision and award-winning leadership across biotech, healthcare, and women-led business innovation. Woo, they are incredible, as you can hear. Thank you both for showing up today, trusting the process, and bringing your full presence to this space. It is truly an honor to host this transformative conversation alongside you and our amazing audience. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So let's get ready and dive into this powerful discussion that is about to take place. Get ready, here we go. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much for having us.
You are so welcome. So,
thank you, Shel. I just want to say thank you. You know, it's my honor to be here today with you, Shel, and Dr. Ewa. It's beyond my words today, and I just want to admire you for the work, the impact you do. It's beyond imagination. So thank you for everything you do, and Dr. Ewa, the incredible work you do is amazing. So I'm honored to be here today.
Oh, you are so welcome. Thank you. See what I was saying, everybody, about the heart-centered approach? You can feel it. It's not something that we just say. It's something that is felt, and you will definitely feel that from these leaders. Thank you. So I think because it's the overarching theme and it's a powerful one, because leadership is everywhere. But what about conscious leadership? So I would love your take on what you believe conscious leadership is, especially in today's world. Let's start with Amir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, wow. This is it's a big question, but it's very important. we'll tackle it. We'll tackle it, and hopefully, me and Victoria, we get break it down, so we can all just make it impactful today. So to me, conscious leadership, it's as we lead as leaders. Most of the time we go as autopilot. We say, we go with the way we've been doing things before, controlled by the paradigm, and we'll talk about the paradigm later, but that's in the subconscious mind, something we have been doing for a long time, and we do it with autopilot without thinking what we are doing, and sometimes we feel like we're leading that way. But conscious leadership, to me, you sit back, you see how you lead in every step you do, every action you take. It should be a conscious, leadership. The way you talk to your team, to your co-workers, to everybody, and even to your family, it should be intentionally. It should be with intention, with courage. And this to me is conscious leadership. It's not like by autopilot.
Amazing. And you, Dr. Ewa?
Yes, great question. Thank you. And Amir, I couldn't agree more. I do think that conscious leadership is really being intentional, really thinking about the outcome and the direction we are going. And also it somewhat ties into compassionate leadership, but the compassion starts with self-compassion and self-understanding and kindness, because I do think that sometimes leaders don't think about how they are coming in and how they are creating the framework for their teams. And especially in that time of rapidly changing environments and technology, I think we have to be very intentional, and we have to create psychologically safe spaces for our teams as well, to allow them to innovate, to make mistakes, because what we are right now in, especially in tech, it is new every second of the day we are on at work. And I think that is, leadership has never had anything like that level of change there is happening. And the other piece that I want to mention is conscientious leadership, compassionate leadership, empowered leadership is really thinking about how workforce is also experiencing the change right now. We started hearing it in the United States, having reports on the number of people that are being laid off as a result of AI being added to or replacing the tasks that they are doing, the repeatable tasks that replaces some of the workforce. Recently, we are hearing also about how minimum wage is changing, also increases in it is changing the diversity and the ability and the unskilled labor being represented. So I think we all have to be thinking about it from our perspective as leaders, and be mindful how our employees are also experiencing some of those changes, and be responsible and take the responsibility to not only create a safe environment, but also ensure that we understand what skill sets individuals require to be as productive as they can be.
Absolutely. Wow.
Absolutely.
What I really felt I heard of from kind of both of you, like an overarching theme, was it isn't just something you do when you get into work and you step into your role. It's actually an embodiment of you and how you show up, and essentially even at the foundation of the wages and things like that and the perks, it all essentially goes back to the well-being as well. So I think that's really powerful what you've mentioned, and of course things like that are sometimes a little bit out of our control. But as a leader, and I think you touched on this really beautifully, Dr. Ewa. You said about just well, actually, you both did the over like being stepping back and really looking at what you actually are leading, not just the people, but just the systems, everything. And I think often as a new leader stepping into something, and maybe not as experienced sometimes, that I would love your take on this. That can be quite tricky because you have then, even if they're not happy with the system, you have the workers almost being like, but this is how we do this. So it's, I think for a new leader in particularly, which is why I love that you're training, well not training, but empowering new leaders, Amir. I think sometimes it takes a really strong, brave, courageous leader without the control to go into a new workplace and trust and believe in the process that is for the better of everybody, and sometimes receive that stigma or that you know, I'm trying to say that lashback because you're coming in to change things, but that's the whole purpose of a leader, isn't it?
Absolutely. Thank you. This is wonderful. I love Dr. Ewa, you know, taking here. It's incredible. So I'm just going to talk about my experience when I started as a new leader, and then we can just talk about that, you know, how that, you know, new leaders can tackle it. So when I started as a new leader, I came from, like, you know, I was working in a team, and then I got promoted to a leadership position, and it's very difficult, you know, shift for me at that time, because, you know, I didn't know, I didn't have any training, I didn't have anything, and I just stepped, you know, just told me, okay, now you are leading the team. Yeah. I was just working, you know, with colleagues and doing things, but what's benefited me, I was practicing leadership unconsciously before. You know, now after I studied leadership psychology and all this, I was reflecting back. But I just, you know, leaned to what I had before, and I was trying to, like, you know, be somebody. You know, I was trying to see, okay, I want to copy this leader. I want to be like this leader. That was my thinking at that time. But it wasn't that the route I should take, you know. And then eventually I found the truth. You know, I have to be just myself, and this is what I've been talking about. You have to just find yourself and lead from who you are, instead of trying to find a strategy here, trying to find, you know, this leader is doing that, because you have a uniqueness that can drive you far away. And God give you, you know, strengths, give you uniqueness, and if you lead from that, you lead from your heart, then everything will fall, you know, aligned with you. So that's how I did it, and it tremendously transformed everything. I transformed myself first, and my team second, and we accomplished a lot. And we're going to talk about this here more, but this is how, you know, how I tell, you know, people and new leaders, just be yourself, find yourself, you know, try to start with identify who you are, and then once you find that, you lead from that, then everything will fall behind. I mean, fall in front of you, will align with you, and you'll do incredible work.
Absolutely. I think that's where the courageous comes in. Like, because we're saying conscious and heart-centered, that doesn't mean easy.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy. But, you know, if we do it consciously, you know, it can be.
Yeah, absolutely. And for you say, because I'm sure you've got lots to say on that, Dr. Ewa. Before you continue, what I heard that's really powerful is, yes, we should, you know, listen to leaders, have a mentor, have a coach, things like that, find really effective, incredible strategies. But essentially, if we are always, oh, what was it he said that I should do next? This is like another layer to what you're already needing to be present and dealing with. Whereas you were put in that position for a reason. that there's a
Absolutely.
reason why it was you that was put in that position. And I can imagine, especially going from the position of like with your colleagues to then, you know, being like, okay, listen up, everyone. I can imagine that that's quite a transition. And
Absolutely, and you get respect. You know, people respect you to be true self. You know,
yes,
it's beyond your imagination if you do it that way.
yeah. And it goes back to that. We can't please everyone, can we? We're in a position to make change, to lead forward for a reason.
Yeah, right. You know, 100%. You cannot please anybody. But I have this bit philosophy on this. You know, once even people when they see you are authentic, you do this for everybody. They don't get upset, even if it's not in their benefit, because they know this is from your heart. It's not from ego. It's not for you. They are accepted.
And I think you just said a powerful point there, because I feel like sometimes that's a process, because sometimes you've got to go, not always, but sometimes you've got to go through the process of maybe feeling those feelings, which might not even be true because our mind is so cruel sometimes, to then them seeing the effects and feeling the difference in going to work or whatever they're doing and being proud. And, you know, sometimes that
Absolutely.
isn't an overnight shift. I would love your
It's not.
take on that, Dr. Ewa.
Yes, thank you. There's for new leaders, there's always that dichotomy. I would say it's how you are going in, right? You are emulating who was before you, who is your mentor, who is the leader that you like, or maybe the one that you don't like necessarily the way they were leading you. So you're coming in with your own aspects, but very often I think, excuse me, new leaders have two components. One, how they are not really thinking about how they're going to be viewed by the team. And I think especially when you're becoming leader from your from your peers, so from the same cohort, all of a sudden you become that's a big change for a new leader. And unless the organizations have a clear framework for preparing someone for this, or someone is really naturally stepping in and already behaving in that aspect, excuse me, it's very difficult sometimes. And I think very often new leaders are struggling with self-identity, how to become a leader for their peers, but also then the organizational expectations. You are proving yourself. You're becoming first-time leader, and you are proving yourself. Those metrics of all of the leaders are on you. The eyes are watching you. So I think it's a very tough and very difficult component. So we as leaders who are already there, we have to really help them figure out how to navigate this. The one piece that I want to mention is very often we don't talk with new leaders about owning their own story. So Amir was talking leading with the heart, but they don't always think that that's important because they're trying to emulate us, the leaders that were before him, that gave them the pathway to come in to the place. So I think it's on us as they are coming into their own, remind them your background is what got you to the leadership position.
Wow.
Be proud of it. Wherever you came from, whatever the experiences were, that's why we are choosing you. So be mindful of that aspect, because if you start changing too much or emulating someone else, or not being true to who you are, you won't be as effective as you were prior to getting that leadership title, whatever that might be. Because very often the leaders that we are choosing to be the leader are the ones that are already standing out in our minds as taking that action. And I think that's where the dichotomy for them comes in. And I think our responsibility is for them, is mentoring them and helping them realize that that's because now you're going to be a director or a VP and you're going to have 20 people under you. That doesn't mean that now you have to come in and be very different than what you were a day prior to that, because that is a hard thing to manage. And ultimately, that's where the lack of success, I don't want to say failure because I don't think anything is a failure, they will learn, but the lack of immediate success or the longer journey, it comes in. And I think that adds additional level of stress for those new leaders and makes them ultimately maybe decide that that's not a pathway for them. When in reality, I think it's the management and the slower change versus, oh, I see that my leader behaves like this, so I'm going to be him or her from the get-go.
I think that's really powerful because you both touched on that. Well, actually, Amir, you shared your own experience of that. And like you so wisely said, that you said on your podcast as well previously, is you were already stepping into that role. You were already doing it before you even became it. And so, as you so wisely said, when it's usually that dynamic and it's not coming in externally, you have been selected for that for a reason, because you are already showing the characteristics and the qualities. And often maybe the leader or whoever has appointed you is because they want a change, they want a new perspective, they want a fresh outlook. So even though we could not idolize, but look up to someone else, which is healthy, ultimately you're, as you both said so wisely, you're not being employed to be them, you're being employed to be you. So yeah, thank you so much for highlighting that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I just want to add to Ewa. You did an incredible job to break this down for the new leaders, and it's very important you just to understand all this. You're coming for a reason, and you have a unique ability. You have to just show you. I think to me, your responsibility, or all of us as leaders, to show up and to show our uniqueness, to show our gift, and that's what the organization needs. They appoint you for a reason, and then you have to show up for that.
Absolutely.
And I would want to add also to a little bit to the discussion. I think that the courageous path comes in, and we often don't talk about it. Courage in that moment is extremely important. You are becoming a new leader, and then you are trying to make your own. But courage comes in from the point that we understand why we were selected. And I also hope that those who are appointing those individuals are making them understand, we selected you for A, B, C, and D because these are the qualities, or this is the perspective, or this is what we are looking for, and you are doing this. And I don't know that sometimes leaders who are appointing are doing the best job of that. So it's almost become sometimes transactional. So again, I do want to mention that those above us, those who are promoting us in, they also should remember and feel responsible for communicating down the reasons why the individual was selected, to empower them to say, oh my goodness, this is why they selected me, but I now understand it, and I have a clear direction where to go. Because we often, as leaders who are much more experienced, can forget that new leaders do not understand that perspective is so important, and the uniqueness of everyone who we are promoting to leadership is changing the individuals at the table, the perspective at the table, and also provides the innovation that very often we require for our organizations to be successful in the future, especially right now. Right now is the time when different voices need to be welcomed, but we also need to explain them why they are coming in. Because again, without in the United States, without the DEI support, we don't have those labels anymore. It makes it a little bit more difficult, because you are almost stripping the connection that you had from the beginning, meaning I am coming in because I present something different. And you don't want anyone coming in to the boardroom, to the room, to the table, not understanding that perspective, their background, their uniqueness is why we selected them in. And again, I want to challenge those leaders who are making those choices, because it is partially relying on us to connect with those individuals and making them understand and help them with their success in the future.
Absolutely. Well, what a powerful start already. We've already obviously conscious leadership, but this is what I love about it is, it isn't just your perspective, it's actually thinking of others that are stepping into the role. It's thinking of others that are, all different angles here. And I think it's incredible. That's the type of conversation we need, so everybody can take something. And often, like what you said, often it's not intentional, it's just not thinking sometimes, and sometimes I think the other almost that going back to the the roles, if you like. I guess the person that's been appointed almost doesn't want to be like, oh, I don't want them to know I'm not prepared or I'm unsure. And then this person's like, oh, they're so confident, they don't need to know. And it's kind of that like gameplay, isn't it? Like unintentionally. So I think you've highlighted some very powerful points there.
Absolutely.
So I'm just, yeah.
Yeah, I just want to add one point, to all this.
Yeah,
one thing also, this is from my experience as well. Mostly when I become as a new leaders, we kind of like comparing ours, with the people in the room, and we kind of say like, okay, we have this self-doubt. Say, okay, I'm not the experienced person in this room. Talking about the team. There's more experienced people than me. I am the younger here. I'm the oldest. I'm this and that. We come with all this fear and doubt to lead, and this kind of limit us. But my advice: you just lean to your strengths. You have strengths, lean to that, and that will give you the courage, will give you the confidence, and then. Because you cannot be like you came for this role to lead, not to know all the answers, and then if you understand that and you just lead from your strengths, I think it will give you a lot of confidence to start confidently.
Absolutely. And just to say on that note, that's why these two incredible powerful speakers will be on the mindset discussion in the next panel discussion. So yes, that's why, because I can see we're touching on mindset here, which obviously
absolutely
all hand
everything
in hand.
To be mindset,
yes,
everything
yes, yes. But it's naturally going to come up because all is mindset, as we know. So just thinking about I'm just thinking about not common misconceptions, but times when maybe common misconceptions. What common misconceptions would you just in general say there are about leadership or influence that you've observed yourself that you'd like to address?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think there is plenty of misconceptions. First of all, individuals think that leadership happens when you have a team or when you have a title or both. And I would say that's absolutely wrong. Anyone can be a leader, right? Yeah. I mean, you don't have to have a leadership position per se or a title. You have to be called manager, director, or VP to be a very influential individual and have others follow you and send the direction and create culture. And this is where it's for everyone listening, you can still make your impact without the title, because it is it is how you come into the meeting. It is how you present yourself. It is how you work on projects, how you talk to your peers. It is everything that is happening. So first of all is the title. That's that you have to have a title, the salary, the whatever number of individuals that you are leading. Second, being influential comes in very often. The people who are influential are they don't lead teams. They are the ones who are the advisors to the leaders. So if you think about it, how the corporate structure is created, you have the CEO has group of leaders who are advising him. Then these individuals have group of leaders. Not everyone is going to have a full direction on. They might have a title, but they will not necessarily have a big team or anything like that. But they're going to be a strategic partner to someone else. And I think that's very important to understand it as well. Very often individuals who are supposedly individual contributors actually have a very high up titles and they are very high up in the ranks, but they are viewed as very influential because they organize or they create the atmosphere where the strategy is created and they create the final points for how we're going to execute something. So I also want to, as you go up the ladder, or if you're even at the lower levels, think about it that your influence can be much bigger than what you think. So leadership and influence sometimes can be two different things. We have to remember that as well. But you can be influential and have a leadership view without having a team. And the final part again is, which we touched on, you at the beginning, especially for the new leaders, don't change or emulate anyone that you think it's appropriate, because that changes who you are. And very often, if you're emulating someone, it's not comfortable for you, right? You are coming in a very different way. So that doesn't say that you cannot be experimenting with the team. Every team is different. You should be actually experimenting and seeing what works, because me being a leader for a very long time, I know that for some teams this worked versus for another didn't work. So I had to change my adapt to those teams and the individuals on the team to make sure that I, as their leader, I can serve them the best way. Because we all have to remember, leadership is being a servant leadership, right? We are serving our teams so they can be the most productive they can be. So again, think about it, that you don't have to have a title to be a leader. You don't have to have a title or a team to be influential. You can be individual contributor and be advisor to highly powerful people. And then finally, think about how you adapt, and there is no one mold that you need to take.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And I don't know if you have anything to say, Amir, but just thinking on that, it's that typical thing, and I know you are big on this, Amir, about holding it in your head and then in your hand, mindset again. But more than that, if you're just going to wait until you receive the title or the paycheck to then show, how are you ever going to get into that position? Because you need to sometimes give in order to receive. And, you know, if you're not showing at your full capacity, you're not really showing what you're really capable of, just by wanting to do it because that's how you feel. Because I think often, you know, there is this like, oh, I'll wait until. No, show up now. Show up now in all you do. You know, if you're going to put something on that makes you feel more powerful and empowered, put that on, step into that room, be that person that you want to show your fullest version of. And I know that's a big thing that you talk a lot about, Dr. Ewa. So thank you for that.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Ewa. I think you did a good job here. Explaining what leadership is, you know, because there's a lot of, you know, misconception about what's leadership, and, you know, and like you explain it, you know, perfectly. It's not the title, you know, it's not about the title. Anybody can be a leader. You know, you can be a leader at home, you know, leader family, can be a leader at school, even like student, they can be a leader. Anybody, to me, provide service can be considered as a leader, because leader is a service. You provide service to people, you become, you know, technically as a leader without title. So leader is not about the title, it's not about the corner office, it's not about the authority. It's not all that. It's about you appointed to serve people. And to me, it's 100% leadership and service connected together. There is no even deviation between that. You know, you serve your people. If as a leader to put that in our mind and consciously lead from that service, you know, the leadership will be amazing, because, and also be easy, because you come back from, you know, from that service, and you want to serve your people, you want to serve your organization, you want to serve your team. And to me, like, you know, you put your ego aside, so you put your authority aside. It's not about you. When you get this title, it's not about you anymore. It's about them. It's about your team. It's about everybody outside you. So this, I think this is a powerful realization. When we make this distinguish, now it's not me anymore. Before, yeah, you know, I'll be in a team, I want to be, and I want the recognition, I want that, I want to be, you know, this. But once you step to this position, this responsibility, it's not about you anymore. So this one thing I think it needs to be understood for leaders to lead from that. And the service is incredible, because people will see, people will watch, you know, your team will watch you. So when you provide them all the service, they follow you, and they trust you, and all that comes after. you become serving them. And also, to me, leadership is just you bring the potential from your team. Like you have to get what they have inside, bring it out to the surface. This also leadership.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, thank you.
I think that powerfully leads into what I wanted to ask you both as well. Because as we know, sometimes when there are changes or there are really bold visions, and I know when we talk about yours, Amir, like you have a very incredible mission and vision that I know you're more than going to be capable of achieving. But I think, and just because you've touched on leadership not being I am the leader, in all areas of our lives, I would love your takes when, particularly in social media, not just social media, but in moves we make sometimes where we do step aside the ego, but we sometimes create something with an intention, and sometimes the intention doesn't come to fruition. So in those times of, I don't want to call them challenging, but of testing, how do you keep yourself believing in what you're doing and your reason behind why you're doing it?
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think this is also an important question. To me, when we start with purpose, when you have the purpose and the service, you go beyond what you imagine. So when we start anything, we have to just intentionally what we want to do. So you have to just see your purpose doing this, and then you connect with your why. When you connect with your why, then it doesn't matter. It comes now, next month, next year, 10 years from now, because it's coming.
Yes.
So this is if we sometimes we forget, we say like, oh, I want to do this, not happening, I'm working hard, I don't see any results. But if we have the why and we believe 100%, and believe is very critical also, once we believe, we can achieve. Napoleon Hill say, if the mind can believe, in conceive, it can be achieved. So if you believe in it, and you have your why, you don't have to think anymore about the challenges. The challenges are a part of it. It's a part of the journey. And without challenge it's not a journey. If you have the challenge, you have the failure, but just keep focused in your goal and what you want to do, and keep going.
Absolutely. And I think if you are secretly like checking and I think you need to question why you've set whatever that intention is out, because are you doing it from a real intention from your heart, regardless of when it blossoms, or because there's a reason behind why you did it, or are you doing it for that instant gratification? And we just have to always question ourselves in everything, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Intention is very critical, very important.
So this is a very interesting question and very important question. How do you move on? How do you go on when nothing is coming out the way you want it, right? I mean, the persistence, the resilience is very important. And I'm 100% in agreement with Amir that it all goes back to the why. Yeah. But very often, the why can be bigger mission that we have. So it's you really have to be grounded into what it is today that it's gonna get me move forward. And I like what you said, Shel, Marie, about that mind going. And I think for the moment that your mind is going, I think that's almost a going in a bad way, that you are questioning everything. I think that's when you need to slow down and you need to remove yourself from it, because you're gonna make it much worse at that point than what it was. That means that something is not working and we desperately want something to work, but we have zero clarity on what is not working, and the desperation, it's coming in. And I think the fear comes in right after the desperation. Do I want to make that next step?
Yeah.
In reality, very often our minds are just going. It has nothing to do with anyone or anything that we said. And we have to, this is why stepping back and using, either talking to someone to clear our heads and saying, what is the fact? Whereas what is our mind just playing a trick on us? Or I like now with ChatGPTs, the chat boxes and all of that, put that all in, because they're becoming much and much better. Some are better than others. Clearly be mindful that these are not psychologically validated models, but for those of us who just need a validation or they need some reasoning to separate the facts from the mind going, I think it's very important. And I think that's what is the hardest when things are not going well, but we are about to give up, to separate the truth, the facts from where our minds are just playing trick on us and ultimately pull us in a direction where we will not try one more time versus trying, because very often it is that one extra step, right, that is separating us from that goal. It doesn't have to be 5 years from now. It can be literally next day, but we are so desperate, we are so in our heads that we are blind to see that we are this close. It's literally that additional push, or perfectly just doing nothing. Sometimes doing nothing is the best thing we can do, because it sends a very different energy to the world, right? Why do people say in the meetings, contentious meetings, being silent is the best thing that you're gonna do? Because silence is the most uncomfortable thing, but it also messages so much. So I do think sometimes we all have to step back. Don't make any unrational behaviors, don't make any actions that make no sense, and take the moment to factualize and really look what is a fact, true fact, what you truly know, versus what is your mind going. And if ever in doubt, sometimes just stepping back and saying, I'm not making any decisions tomorrow, I'm gonna sleep today, I'm gonna sleep on it and make decision tomorrow, can really save you and actually lend you what you were thinking about or what you were striving for so long. So that's a little bit that I want to add to that discussion.
Absolutely. And I think our brain can be so creative in not always the most positive way.
I just want to add one more thing here, Shel, if you allow me.
No, please.
I want to back to Ewa about just step back. This is very critical. You step back and just like you said, just silent or take a break. I think this is incredibly important. I just want to add to that. I learned this from my mentor, Bob Proctor. Let go and let God. Just let it go and don't move that attachment, because the more you attach to it, the more you get nervous and get anxiety. Detach from what you want and step back a little bit and ask the higher power to help you. Ask God, please help me. I'm doing everything here in my ability, and then just relax and it unfolds.
Absolutely.
I just want to add that. Thanks.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that. And something that I found really powerful, which I feel ties into what both of you said, is sometimes when I'm really don't have clarity or I'm at a loss or something, before I go to bed, I will think about what it is, and I will say, just confidently, I'll say, I will know the answer in the morning. And then it just tell your brain that. And honestly, it doesn't mean I wake up, bing, okay, I know the answer, but it comes, it does come. And I think, often we outsource our power, but often we actually know, but whether we call it the monkey mind or whatever gets in the way and the noise gets loud. And I think also you mentioned a really powerful point, Dr. Ewa, about ChatGPT, and it's like every resource, it's like every person we're in conversation with, everything we consciously put our mind to, if you're asking intelligent questions or prompts, then you get intelligent answers. So if you're getting a response from something, because I agree, I use it often when I have questions, and I'm very happy with the results, but I'm very intentional and really conscious about what I am putting in order to receive. Are you coming from a place of lack, scarcity, fear, or I would like to know the empowered answer? Putting certain words in creates a certain response, whereas if you just ask a generic question, you're going to get a generic answer. So I think that's really powerful what you mentioned.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So thinking about that, I feel like we're naturally unfolding perfectly in time anyway. Thinking about tools and practices, because obviously it's nice for people to be listening and to take something tangible away. I know they've taken so much away already, but are there any certain tools or practices that you particularly use to build that resilience, that focus, that intentional leadership?
So I'm gonna take it and start, and I'm gonna talk a little bit from the perspective of a woman talking to a woman, because I think this is there is a difference in how women are thinking, right? So being women, are the expectations that are put in on women from the societal point of view as well as from work are extremely high. And you and I, Shel Marie, we spoke about burnout in the past workshop that we had in the past episode. And I think this is very important to bring in because of the higher expectations that are being put in. It tends to get very overwhelming for many women. So the first thing that I want to say is women especially need to be very intentional when it comes to self-care. That's practice number one. You have to prioritize yourself, because we often prioritize everyone else, our kids, our spouses, our parents, caregivers who are giving care, whatever that might be. Plus, women tend to put in actually more work in hour-wise than their counterparts, male counterparts. So I think that we need to be very mindful of this. Creating a routine in the morning is very important because that sets you for a good day. Talking to yourself, being kind to yourself, and talking to yourself positively is extremely important. One way you can retrain your brain is look in the mirror, and the only thing that you do is talk very politely to yourself, very kindly to yourself, because your brain doesn't know that this is you talking to yourself. It sees someone else talking to you, so you are getting that feedback and you're retraining your brain. So that's one. The second piece is you always women only do care when they are at the point of burnout and they cannot move on anymore, meaning they are physically drowning. So we have to be very mindful and also think about it that every day outside of your, let's say, morning routine, on your bed routine, there has to be some kind of break. Maybe between your meetings, you do a 5 minutes on elliptical or on a treadmill. Maybe you go for half an hour instead of taking lunch at your desk, you go for a walk for that half an hour and then come back and have lunch. We have to be very intentional. So that's what I would want to say for women. Not that I have it all solved, because I am like everyone else. We are all juggling thousands of things every single day. But I think if you catch yourself that you are in the point when you are about to break, that's too late at this point. We have to be catching ourselves much at the beginning in order to allowing this. So as we're talking about conscientious leadership, we can't be leaders if there is nothing for us to pour from and to anyone else. So we have to do this and do this. The other piece is resilience only comes in when there is mental clarity, right? When you are really able to differentiate. So I do want to make sure that from my perspective is you have to relax, you have to have activities that support your well-being, not drinking alcohol and all of that because that doesn't help at all, but it's really thinking about your physical fitness, your nutrition, your mental health. Have a meeting once a month with a mental health provider. There is nothing wrong with that. I think women actually need to probably have it. Have the women's luncheon every other week or something like that, where you get to talk. Have a friend that you get to be open with, because I think we have to be very mindful. So these are the few things that I would want to talk from a woman to women. We are not very good at self-care. It's very difficult to move us into the different steps if we don't start with that and really identifying what helps us stay sane, what helps us to be well taken care of, and also being intentional in how are we creating our thoughts and how we are treating ourselves. There's a famous quote for Diane von Furstenberg where she says, at the end of the day, and I'm going to just summarize it, at the end of the day, the only relationship you have is with yourself. If you don't take care of that relationship, doesn't matter anything else. So I'm going to stop on that.
No, absolutely.
Wow. No, go ahead, Shel. I'm just saying, wow, this is a lot. Thank you,
Yeah,
Dr. Ewa.
yeah. But I equally think like I 100% agree from woman to woman, but I also think, and I would love your take on this, Amir, I feel like absolutely everything, and we've said some two very powerful episodes on this, so I will put these in the show notes for people to go and watch. Dr. Ewa is incredible, and such, I know I've said it already, but a powerhouse. But I would also love the perspective, which is perfect with the gender here right now, of the male, because I also equally think, and I know there are statistically probably more men officially in leadership roles, that I feel like it's also a given for men just to get on with it. And I would love the perspective of a male.
Thank you, thank you, Shel. Thank you, Dr. Ewa. It's, a lot you just mentioned here, and I think it's credible, practices and advices. People will love to,
Yes.
thank you for that. From my perspective, as the male, and the leader, self-compassion and self-love, as Dr. Ewa was mentioning, is critical. And especially, just I'm talking from my experience and my own perspective, we forget ourselves sometimes. We feel like we are the leader of the family. We put ourselves, and at the end, we don't even just think about what we need to do for ourselves. Talk about, okay, our wives, our kids, our parents, and we are at the end. But as Dr. E was talking, we cannot give if we have the empty cup. We have to fill our cup first, then we can, until we pour, and then we can pour our service outside. I didn't realize this myself. Early on, I was just giving, and sometimes I feel like, I don't have anything to give. I almost burn out. But if you do that, you're gonna burn out. No question about that. You have to take care of yourself, and just love yourself. Do go to the gym, take eat well. All these kind of things about you as a person, that will give you the power to lead more people and to serve more. One day I did something I've been telling my clients, okay, treat yourself. So what I did one day, I just had something, I just was one accomplishment, and then I just want to celebrate. So I just went by myself, and I told them, okay, I went and I invited myself for lunch. So I went by myself and just buy lunch for myself and sit there. And I thought, okay, this is just to treat myself personally. I know I take my family every time, but this is just only for me.
Beautiful.
As I did this. So there's something sometimes we forget as male about that, but this is very critical and very important. Just to answer this question, but if you allow me, I want to add a little bit of some exercises or practicals that can help our leaders, listeners, just to navigate the leadership without burnout.
Absolutely.
Is that okay?
Just before you continue there, Amir, I just really want to acknowledge what you just said, and obviously I'm just taking it from my perspective, but I can feel that even in you sharing something so beautiful, pouring into yourself, you can still feel that like, oh, should I tell people this? Which is why I wanted to know the male perspective, because I think, and it's not a battle of the genders or anything like that, but I know that, for example, we can openly say, look in the mirror, we can say that, okay? And even though we're not necessarily doing it, we can often say it as a female and feel confident in saying it. And I feel like that's why I wanted to hear the other perspective, because I know that even something as simple, very normal as treating yourself to a nice meal is almost like that. Should I tell them? Yes.
Absolutely.
So I just
Absolutely. I don't
really
want
want
to
to
tell anybody. I
highlight
was like,
that before you brush over that. And you should be doing much more than just that.
absolutely.
Okay?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I'm just telling you our perspective.
No,
You
I
know,
know. I
you
know,
don't
but
want to do that. Even it's happening, you don't want to tell anybody. But yes, we
even
should.
in
That's
you
what I tell
sharing
people.
that, using your voice to share that shows other people that it's okay. And you know,
It is.
that's the leader, that's the courageous leader leading forward often with their words. And you know, it's not always about the strategies and the you know the PowerPoints and all that. Sometimes actually sharing real, because essentially this is our vessel. And it's true,
It
okay?
is.
We can say, as much people say, like, but just live a little, this, that, and the other. It's not saying don't live a little, but this is your vessel. What you're taking in your mind, what you're taking in your body, what conversations you're having, it all has an impact because we're showing up as us, the version of us in everything
Absolutely.
we do. And that's what
And
we're trying to unmask, aren't we? We're trying to unmask this, oh, this is me in this scenario, this is me in this environment. No, actually, of course, we behave differently in different environments, but are you just showing up as you authentically? And I think that's...
And I would say is I think you hit something on the other. There are two pieces. One, coming in as we are in many different places is very important because I can tell you that includes myself. How many places have we gone in and we didn't feel like we belong? Not that anyone said anything, but because we felt we can't be authentic selves because people are gonna judge you, which we often don't realize is not that they are gonna judge you, because I don't think people judge necessarily. They clearly do, but they don't understand you, right? They do not know anyone like you. I mean, how often do we see someone and we make a judgment somewhat on them, right? We haven't even get to know them, but however they are coming in, be ready make a decision on those individuals. So it always goes both ways. And I think remembering that piece is that if you want to be treated authentically everywhere, you're going to feel like it. You have to also start with treating others the same way and not making those judgments or those rash decisions very, very quickly. So that's one I wanna just mention, because I think that's very important. This is why we have all of these misagreements and, oh, this group is better than this and so forth, when in reality every group is about the same. They all have the same faults, doubts, and whatever else, right, there is. So I think that's one point. The second point, I think you talked about your vessel, and that's between ourselves as the vessel. And I want to mention and talk about the athletes that we often see on TV, Tom Brady and the other swimmers, or all of these highly competing individuals. What do they do when you hear how dedicated they are to their bodies? It's very unrealistic. They know, right? They know that if I don't pour it in, if I don't maintain certain physique or certain way of eating or mental health, this is now a lot of the athletes. One of them is Iga Świątek, who is a big tennis player. She talks about it very openly. She has her psychologist on the bench with her as part of the team. More and more athletes have that. That's because they require, if you think about it, is that full body mental nutrition experience that they are all doing in. And I think the same as with leadership. When we are not competing for a sport, we are competing in some way. We are being paid a lot of money very often to make important decisions. How can you be impactful when you're making decisions on your teams if you are drowning? If you are not well? And I think changing the discussion, whether it's for women or for men, regardless, thinking about it, that this is your body, and if you're taking care of it, you are coming in much better and you are better for everyone else. And you now are the athletes on the field. I think that changes the dynamic, and it really didn't hit me until you said it. And I think that's very important for everyone to think about that as well, that we are these athletes just in a very different way that we are coming in.
Absolutely. And I don't want to brush over what you were about to share either. That was really powerful. Thank you, Dr. Ewa. And I agree. And as you both so beautifully said about a leader, even the mother showing up for the family, you know, all different scenarios. It essentially, you know, what we choose to pour in, we have to realize there's a result of what we're filling not always positively our vessel up with. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I just want to add one thing here. You know, I just listened to both of you. It's incredible. You know, just if we think about our body, we have one vessels in this life, only one, and we don't have second one. Right, we have only one. So we have to just take care of that. You know, sometimes we forget about that. You know, this is our one vessel we have in this life, and one chance. We don't have a second one. Yeah. So let's take care of it so we can serve more people.
Absolutely.
I just want to mention this. I realize now we're talking a lot about mindset, because as you mentioned, 95% is a mindset. Leadership is not a strategy. We didn't talk about strategy or PowerPoint or anything. It's all about the mind and the body. So everything is mind and body. You know, mind is everything, the thinking, the thought, and the body is a manifestation of what you think, or, you know, the instrument, what you have. So if we control these two, you know, not just leadership, everything in our life will become, you know, manageable. So this is my perspective. I just want to share a little bit of exercises I tried, and it works
you'll be
beautifully.
Sharing more about that in the next panel discussion. So watch this space. Carry on.
We'll have more. No worries.
Leave them hanging.
She has a lot, you know. She will provide more. You know,
I could see you like no, wait, to be continued.
Yeah, I just want to share one thing I did with my team recently, and has tremendous impact. This has recently happened. You know, both of you're gonna love this. You know, the gratitude is huge, and not just in leadership, in every aspect in our life. You know, when we start practicing the gratitude, that shift everything in our life. And before you mentioned also, like, you know, if we have doubt, like this not happening, if we practice gratitude, everything will be easy. So I tried this practice in every meeting with my team. I have like maybe around 10 people in the room. So every meeting I just take 10 minutes. I told them, okay, let's practice gratitude. Everyone just write 2 things or 3 you're grateful for, and share it with the team. It's, you know, the whole dynamics change tremendously. So everybody share, and I don't know, I cannot explain to you in how the shift happening in the team. Everybody like to, you know, work with others. They love. There is no even one negative thing mentioned in the meeting. We just did like 10 minutes of gratitude. And also, you know, the team came and telling me, everybody like, oh, we haven't experienced this before. This is huge, and let's continue on this. We want. So every meeting I'd bring something to them, and they'd be like, okay, what's the next meeting we're gonna do?
They wait till the end. Now they're excited to wait till the end.
Exactly. So next meeting I give a practice of, okay, let's do strings practice. So I asked them, you know, just write 2 strings you have, because when we bring the strings from the team, I think you unleash the potential they have, because sometimes we do things for granted, but it's a gift from God, and we do it with unconsciously say, oh, I'm doing this, but other people, they see it differently. So I brought this to surface. So everybody just mentioned like 2 strings they had, and incredibly, when they mention it, everybody say, oh yeah, I see that on you, I see that. That also brings another level of validation. So we validate each other strengths, that give them the confidence, also give them the courage and confidence to use that strength into their life. So I just want these two practices I started using, and they're very, very powerful.
I love that. And I'd love to add another layer to that, because I'd be interested to know if this came up. But sometimes I think also what someone, so say for instance, because you said for them to write their strength, yeah? The actual person.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I've seen this come up before, where the actual person doesn't write what we can see also. And I think that's another powerful thing to have a conversation about that. Oh, wow, I thought you were going to write, and then have that validation as well.
And that happened also. That happened. Somebody say, oh, I thought you're going to write this, but you didn't. They said, no, I didn't realize this is all I had. No, no, you have to write it. This is you. So
there's so many different layers to that, isn't there? Yeah.
And just to add to this, what I would say is, I think because we do not know how we are being perceived, sometimes it is valuable to ask others for feedback, and we often are very worried what we're gonna receive, but in reality, feedback actually comes back very good, right? Or very interesting for us to understand it, how people perceive us. And clearly there might be things that we have to improve, which I think we are always learning, we are always pivoting, we are always sleeping, whatever that might be, we are always developing. So I think that is good. But especially for people who are doubting themselves, where imposter syndrome is coming in so strong, hearing someone else how they view them, and learning that, oh my goodness, I'm actually viewed quite well. It changes, and you can see the difference how individuals are feeling immediately. That's why what I don't like 360, I do like 360 reviews sometimes, because I think it is important to get the perspective of different individuals. And I would even add, we do it in professional life, but when you are rethinking where you are in your career, or where you want to be when you grow up, the next phase of your life, bringing in your family members, your aunts, your mothers, your grandmothers, others, because it's not only how you are perceived in the professional world, but also the impact you are making in your community and your immediate family. And I think that I actually recently did that, and it changed how I am viewing myself, because you start getting an extremely valuable lesson. So I really like what you said, Amir, and I think that's very important. But we also very often forget, and we're also very afraid of what others are going to say, when in reality, they say nothing but kind things, with maybe some things that they would like us to do more of. Very often, not less of anything. They usually it's, I wish you do more of this. And I think that changes how we view ourselves, and it really helps mental crunch to start shifting a little bit.
Absolutely. One time I this is actually need a lot of courage. I hesitated to do it, but I was trying to practice authentic leadership. I've been doing it. I'm talking about it. I need to do it, because lead by example. So I give each one, a sheet of paper, like, okay, now you need to evaluate me. And then I gave them the opportunity, and they said, like, this is not okay, just tell me whatever you think about me. So it needs a lot of courage to do it, but it's important also to get feedback.
And did they do it anonymously, or did they write their name?
No, they didn't write their name. But I just encourage them to do it that way.
Because
I look at it, and it's very valuable. Was very valuable information.
Absolutely. And I'd love your take on this, but I've often found, which is not an easy thing to admit, that often the person or the feedback or whatever it is that triggers you usually the most, after you've sat with it for a bit, it usually is something masked. At first it kind of feels like it's coming at you, but when you unpick it, sometimes there is a blessing in it, I think, especially.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just take what you learn from it. That's what I do. I just take what I look, what I'm going to learn from here, and then just move on.
And I know you talk a lot about this, Amir, that also it's our perspective. So often what's at hand or what's said is not often what we're thinking and creating much
Absolutely.
bigger.
Because it's coming from our perspectives, right? We all have a different background, and I think we often forget that how people communicate very often is not personal. I mean, very rarely it is personal. As some people are much more direct, that's because that's how they communicate. Others they don't, and I think we always have to make sure that we filter out, which is not easy. I mean, that takes years to practice, and some people are much more naturally gifted in that area, others are not. And I think we have to think about that and also filter out. I do want to mention that something that and maybe that's what we're going to be talking on in the next episode, but recently we hear more about the neuro sensitive individuals and how they are experiencing all of what is happening. And I think that's also a very important component. Actually, for those individuals, they are actually much more sensitive, and they are picking up clues that are very hard to find for many of us. And I do have, and I hope that as we're going to be talking the mind next week, we're going to be thinking about how do we also address these things, because there's a lot of messaging that these individuals are picking up that the normal layman person doesn't. And I think there is a big gift in that. And again, we are talking a lot that we shouldn't care and so forth, but it's very difficult not to do that. So it is really how we teach ourselves and recognize that each of us have a very different perspective and separate out. Again, it's that separation. Can I stand back and objectively review what they told me? What is the fact? What is someone's feelings that they are bringing in that have nothing to do with me? And that is difficult. But that often comes in as us as leaders, as trying to coach our team members. I mean, how many times have I done coaching session and the individuals are not responding the way you want them? They are getting very upset, and you have to separate that out. They're just not ready to hear it. Maybe there's something happening in their lives, and we have to be mindful about this. Or they are just much more sensitive individual, and instead of saying don't be sensitive, recognizing that and figuring out what is my responsibility towards that person to give the information in a way that they can digest it. So I probably commingled your own versus how we take people in, but I think we need to make sure that we, as leaders especially, can we figure out both sides. Don't take anything personally but ourselves, but being able to separate how others receive us, and work on this as well to make sure that we are better for conveying messages that are not easy to say sometimes.
Absolutely. And
Absolutely.
You really touched on a powerful thing there, because I'm really excited to explore that next week with you. But also, if we are stepping into a meeting, a coaching session, something, and we are already having a desired outcome, technically we are kind of conditionally or manipulating the situation in order to have the outcome, rather than, like what you said, allowing it to unfold and just being present and focused, I guess. Would you say? I just think sometimes that I've noticed is the more conscious that I am, the less I need to be in my mind and have the outcome. Because if I'm conscious and I'm present, obviously we have the intention and we have the agenda and the outcome, because that's the whole purpose of a meeting, like different scenarios. But if we're already predicting what it's going to be, then are we allowing for open discussion? I think we should always think about.
That is true. And to be honest, that can be true of anything. As we are thinking about navigating our careers, the most growth and the best opportunities happen when we don't expect anything, right? Where we go with the flow. I don't want to say go with the flow, but go with an open mind and say, let's say you're going to a job interview, instead of thinking, oh, I need to get this job. No, do your best preparing.
Yes.
Think about it. Preparation is it's always good, right? The more prepared you are, the more confident you are. So you're showing up with a different presence. But also, if you don't put that this is end of your life, right? This is so important that if the outcome doesn't happen, it's crushing you. But instead of saying this is a potentially a learning opportunity, which is very difficult to do, but the opportunities are coming in when we have much more open mind, and not only you are receiving better everyone else, but you ultimately are receiving at the end yourself, and you can see the opportunities that are laying out outside of this one thing that you are so focusing on, which I think that's what we started at the beginning a little bit with. So this is a difficult subject, difficult thing to change, but I think if you can at least crack a little bit, it changes everything that is happening in your life, and ultimately, not only that you have clarity, but also you're able to navigate it in a much simpler way, in a much better way, and take in everything that is happening around you much more positively and engaging in a way that this leads you to more outcomes that you have ever thought about.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I want to be really mindful of both of your time already. We've had such an incredible discussion, as I knew we would. And I'm so privileged to have you both on the panel with Carmen next week. But before you go, I would just like, if there's anything you would like to share, feel free to use this time. Or again, if you feel like there's any advice or something you feel like someone benefiting, that's listening right now would benefit from hearing, feel free to share something.
You can go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. So I would say the following for anyone listening. Conscious leadership starts with you. So you have to be the one that is able to lead, and it's able to work with others. So having your own story, so meaning trying to figure out who you are and what is your style, how you're coming in authentically is very important. Understanding your perspective, or that you have something of value, it's very important, because that helps your story stand out. Knowing the purpose, what is your why are you doing this longer term, it's very important. And then finally, make sure that not only that you have courage, but you also plan for taking care of yourself. Because if, like Amir said, if your vessel is not well taken care of, doesn't matter what you do, it's not gonna end. So I would say it's lead boldly, but also remember that it is only in your hands, and it has to start with you. If you're at peace with yourself, or if you're working on yourself, you have to be at peace with yourself. As long as you're moving and you're working and you're developing, I think the way you're going to be coming into others, and the way you're going to be presenting and thinking, being conscious in the settings with your team, it's going to really resonate with everyone around. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I don't know what else I can say. You got it all. So, beautifully. I just want to add one. 1,000% agree with Dr. Ewa. This is tremendously. Just if you want to start, what she said is incredible. One thing I just want to add. I found it's very, very powerful. As a leader, we talk about it all this time here. Is identity. You have to find your identity from day one. Who you are and how your purpose and how you want to lead, you, not anybody else, because you are the leader. You are the leader. You have to understand you are the leader, how you lead. So from day one, you determine this, everything after that become easy. One piece also is just compassion, just practice compassion, look at your team, because you are the servant. Serve your team and everything will follow. They follow you not because of you tell them, because they want to. If you hear them, listen. Do deep or active listening. I found this very critical and very important. Just to listen. When they come to you, talk to you, you have to just leave everything and listen. Once you listen, like my mentor say, we hear with your ears, but we listen with emotion. So you have to listen emotionally to the person in front of you. They feel it.
Yeah.
If you do that, they feel it, and they rally behind you. And you don't have to even ask them to buy in. They buy in before you tell them. So this is I think this is secret weapon. If you use it as the leader, you get everything under your belt. So that's one thing I want to add.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you both so much. And And I think for anyone listening, we need to remember that there's been so much powerful points, discussions, mindset, strategy, so much shared today. That does not mean that tomorrow you have to implement or be kind to yourself, step by step, and life, naturally, all aspects of life, not just professionally, are going to give us lessons and tests, and that's normal, and that's okay, because that's how we get the wisdom, that's how we get the gems, that's how we show up even stronger, even, you know, not as much, but the more we experience what we don't want, we know what we do want. So I think just get back to that kindness, that compassion, and that love for yourself, and you know, tomorrow is another day. You know, mind is loud, as you wisely said, calm it. Tomorrow is another day. Thank you so much. And for people listening, something free that you can do to share some love and amplify these voices and their messages is simply touch the heart, share, and subscribe. And in doing that, it's not just, again, just building a number, it's building a platform, it's building outreach and expressing more of these really powerful conversations for more to gain access to. And I will really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you both, and I'm so excited for next week. Thank you.
Yeah, me as well. Very excited.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Shel. You did a very well job, and thank you for all the the wisdom and the hard talk. It's really impactful. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me here as well, Shel-Marie and Amir, for being with you on a panel. And I look forward to the next one, which I think we're going to dive into even more interesting aspects and how do we navigate.
Yes, I agree.
Absolutely.
I agree. Thank you.